All right, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Late Night Shots Podcast, episode 122. We have a big guest here today. We have Bo Nickals going to be making his pro debut pretty soon. So, how are we doing?
Doing awesome. Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, as you mentioned, pro debut coming soon. That'll be June 3rd on UFC Fight Pass. So yeah, gonna be a fun time.
Yeah, we'll drop the link for that. So, what's training kind of looking like right now?
Yeah, just a lot of training. Normally I go MMA in the mornings and then do some wrestling in the afternoon. So still wrestling a lot, pretty much most days of the week, and with the Nickal Wrestling Club and the Penn State guys. So yeah, usually hitting at least one, if not two sessions a day, and yeah, just grinding.
So, I think the main thing a lot of people want to know is, is wrestling completely over with now, or are we planning to return soon?
You know, in my mind, the more I train MMA and the deeper I get into this game, the less I feel drawn to come back to wrestling. It would take something really special, like a really special situation for me to come back for a match. But at this point, I feel confident with the direction I'm headed. So I would say that, just at in my mind right now, just focusing on MMA, focusing on being the best fighter I can be. And, I actually, not many people know this, but I got offered the match for bout at the ballpark in February at 86 kilos versus Iran. And I told him, hey, if you get Yazdani here, I'm in. Let's go. Like, I was going to take 6 weeks off of MMA training, go full all in wrestling. And, you know, I just said, hey, if you're getting Hassan, like, I'm in there. Let's go. I want to wrestle with that dude. And I think I can take him out. But, they told me that we can't guarantee it's Yazdani. Right now they have a couple other guys listed. And so we don't think it's going to be him. And just because it was a risk for me to, I wasn't going to train 6 weeks and not get the match that I wanted and have to wrestle another guy that I might maybe already wrestled. I just decided that, you know what, no way. I'm going to keep focused on my MMA training. And luckily, it worked out saying no because Iran wasn't able to come out, and they ended up having to wrestle, I think, Canada or somebody like that. So it was fortunate, but that's the type of situation it would take for me to get back into wrestling. But, I don't really think that at this point that's going to happen. So for me, I'm full steam ahead on MMA.
All right, so there's like chances, like a little bit.
I would say there's a slim chance, like it would have to be a match with literally Yazdani. Like, that's the only guy I would really come out to wrestle because, he's the number one guy in the world. And so for me, if I'm not wrestling the number one guy in the world, it doesn't really do much for me. It doesn't really motivate me, get me excited, get me fired up. Like, I don't really see any other challenge that I would be passionate about. So I'm just following what I'm most passionate about. And right now that's MMA.
Yeah. I think another big thing is, during the whole national season, you made a couple tweets about Iowa and the whole thing that was going on there. So, Penn State, again, 5 national champs. Last time they did that was when you were there too. So, what was that like to kind of like relive that from spectator mode?
Yeah, it's definitely different. I was just super proud of the guys mostly, super proud of not only our national champs, but the team from top to bottom. I think those guys, they dealt with a lot come through this season, and just adversity and different things that everybody deals with. But I was just really proud to see how they overcame that, and especially a lot of the guys, just giving glory to God and knowing where all their blessings and opportunities come from. The fact that they're such good kids, grounded, and God's rewarding them for that. But yeah, super awesome to see. Very cool that they were able to. I think there's only been 4 teams in NCAA history that have had 5 champs, and we've got 2 of them in the last 5 years. So that's a testament to our coaching staff and to Penn State as a whole. Our alumni, our donors, and everybody that helps make the program great. So pretty cool stuff. And yeah, I feel a little bad, honestly, at this point, throwing shots at Iowa because, they're just passionate fans and they love good wrestling. They love hard wrestling. So I maybe took it a little far there, but all respect and all fun.
Yeah, I remember the tweets at
Yeah.
Burrows also.
Yeah.
That was not shade at all, to be honest. Like for me, it might have seemed like it, and a lot of people were like, "Oh," but I'm like, dude, you're 34 and you have had opportunity. You would have, if you wanted to fight, you would have fought when you were my age. You were 26, 28. Like so. It's one thing to say I want to get a fight. It's another thing to do it. And I'm just like, I just genuinely don't think you really want to. I think you're just trying to tweet and stir up something. And you're the biggest name in wrestling right now. So, like that stirs up stuff. But I'm like, I don't believe you that you actually want to fight. And we tried to set up. My manager was like, "Yo, let's do it. Set up a grappling match with you guys because he's not going to fight me, but maybe he does a grappling match or jiu-jitsu match with me or something." But that didn't fall through. But yeah, I mean, honestly, like can't hate on the guy really. Won the Olympics, won the world championships so many times, one of the best wrestlers in American history. But I don't think he wants to fight. I think he was just trying to get retweets. So I'll just call it how I see it.
Yeah, so I know main thing everyone wants to hear about, your collegiate wrestling career, one of the most dominant wrestlers of all time. You've been some of the best guys to ever come through. Miles Martin, Sammy Brooks was a big one, and then Colin Moore. So, looking back on that now, like, and you see these guys about to replicate it. Carter Sarachi could be going for 5, Brooks could be going for 4, RBY is trying to come back and win his 3rd next year. What do you see in there?
Yeah. I think when I look back on my career, I just feel very grateful for so many different things. Like one, just meeting the people that I was able to meet, my teammates, my coaches, people that are going to be lifelong friends for me. Anthony Cassar, my best friend, the best man at my wedding, my ride or die, like that's going to be my best friend for my whole life. So, my career looking back and seeing like, yeah, we won a lot of titles and, we won a lot of matches and had fun doing that, but it was more fun just hanging out with each other, getting to know each other and becoming friends. And now I see these young guys kind of doing the same thing. They're super tight knit, super close with each other. And, of course they're winning. Of course they're competing at the highest level of the sport and dominating. And, I love to see that, but I more than that, love to see the people that they're becoming. They're just high character dudes, just guys that you could count on, that you could trust. And, I see how close they are with each other, how they interact and spend time with each other. They all love each other. And I think that's so cool. And, for me, that was the thing that I got out of my college career. That was, the most important thing. So for them, I think it's the same way. Obviously they're winning and they're, dominating. And I think that's great. But I feel like they see the value in their friends and the coaches and the relationships that they're creating. So just all around proud of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I've been blessed enough to get the opportunity to, I've for a couple summers during my straight in high school, my team always somehow ended up at Penn State for a week. And I was able to get to see how you guys all acted together. I mean, you guys were a really tight-knit group of guys, always knew how to have a good time. So I could definitely attest to that those you Penn State guys, you know how to have a good time, especially at practice. You changed my high school coach's perspective on wrestling practice completely. Like from the first year that we went until now, I'm sure past, I've been graduated for a full year now, and I know he still does. He runs it the same way that Kale does. He was able to talk to Kale for like a half hour and just kind of have like a one-on-one conversation about, how you guys are so good. And I mean, I think he completely changed the aspect of our room, and our guys have just been improving since that happened. So
that's
I mean,
great
now,
to hear.
it was awesome.
Like it's just a hard sport. Wrestling is freaking tough. You're at times you're getting taken down, you're getting your head pushed into the mat, you're getting thrown on your back. Like that's not fun. So, you got to find creative ways to make it fun. And that's, I think, how you can get the most out of yourself. And as a coach, get the most out of your team. So Coach Kale obviously knows how to do that. And that's really cool that your coach picked up on it too, because, it's just a tough freaking sport, like to go through a whole season and deal with that. Like not many people want to do that. And that, that's part of what makes it great. But like, I think there's also something to be said for enjoying it and having fun.
The dodgeball does get competitive.
Yeah, no doubt. It's good time.
But, I guess we might as well just talk a little bit about it. I mean, the Nittany Line Wrestling Club, who I think in every spectator's opinion is the best wrestling club in the United States of America. And I think you could probably attest to that. I mean, I think if I was, a recruit and at that level, I mean, there would be no way you could say no to Penn State. I mean, you guys have loaded guys in that weight and that wrestling club up and down the weight classes, I think. So you being a part of that, what do you think you were able to kind of add now as kind of like a practice partner for some of these guys that are, still competing at the NCAA tournament? Like, obviously, you had the Deans now, and then obviously Kirklevitt, who's going to, try to get on the top of the podium this year. So how do you think you're helping those guys out, winning nationals?
Yeah, well, I'm definitely getting taken down a lot more. So that's new for me, a little different. For me, I'm not competing in wrestling anymore. So when I go into train, I'm not really trying to like be a killer in there. I'm trying to get what I need, but also, help these young guys out, because it's just at this point kind of where I feel my place is with the club and how I can help. And I'll continue to do that for, until I'm done competing. I'll still be with the NLWC, still be helping the young guys out, training with them and stuff. But yeah, it's fun to kind of go into practice and not really worry about my performance so much. Obviously, some days I turn it up, and some days I'm like, all right, no more messing around. Like, let's get after it a little bit. But for the most part, I'm there for them. I'm there to serve them and help them as much as I can. I train with a lot of those young guys: Carter, Aaron, Max, Greg, working with the young guys too. Alex Facundo, redshirted this past year. He's coming up. He's going to be a monster for us coming soon. And, even all the way through the bottom of the lineup with the small guys, Roman and Nickal. I love working with anybody and everybody on the team and in college. And if you're a recruit, that's exactly how I felt coming out of high school. I was like, oh man, I get to come here. I get to wrestle Matt Brown, David Taylor, Ed Ruth, Coach Kale, Coach Casey, Jake Varner, Morgan McIntosh. Like, the list goes on. There's 20 other guys that I could name. And it's just like, there's no other place in the country, or in my opinion, the world, that's as good as what we have. I mean, I could continue to list names, guys that we have now: Thomas Gilman, Kyle Snyder, just continues to get better and better, the club. And yeah, I mean, we're going to be here for a long time. So, I don't see any other club that retains guys as well as we do, not only keeping guys together, but also, people want to come here. I'd mentioned Thomas and Kyle, the Mr. Iowa guy and the Mr. Ohio State guy. They're training at Penn State now because, we have the best environment in the world. And, another guy, Josh Rodriguez, California guy, wrestled at North Dakota State. And now he's out here with us, just got second in the US Open at 61 kilos this past weekend. So, we just produce, and that's the bottom line. But yeah, it's fun.
And then I think obviously you're missing something, Mr. US Open champ, Jason Nolf,
Yeah, of course,
that man, he's also still there. So, I mean, just to think about, guys like that. And then, Rutherford's there as well. I mean, just those classic guys, and you mentioned David Taylor. Whenever we talk about, to guys your age and maybe a little bit year or two younger than you, we always hear David Taylor's name. Who was your top three favorite wrestlers? One of them always is David Taylor, from everybody, from no matter what the weight. But I'm starting to think now, like, if you asked guys, our age, as me and him, we're a little bit younger than you guys. I think if you asked us, it would have to be, you, Nolf, Rutherford, like those guys were the guys we kind of grew up watching. And I'm sure you kind of grew up watching David Taylor. So what's it like with, for you being able to kind of train from him and, now kind of learn from him in the life aspect of things now?
Yeah, for sure. It's a great opportunity. I feel like, for me, I try to learn as much as I can from all of these guys that are older than me and who went before me. And there's just so much experience and so many situations that they've been in that are similar to me. And so I'm just super grateful to have guys in my life like that and guys that I could learn from. And yeah, like you said, now it's kind of a cool position to be able to give back too, because there were so many guys that gave back to me, poured into me, tried to help me out. And now I get to do that for the younger guys. And, hopefully that just cycle continues where they'll be able to do that for the next group. And we'll just keep that train going and keep making us better. And for me, I just always hope that the generation, like, I know the generation before me probably had it a little worse. And I hope the generation after me just has it better than me, and that we can, continue to build that. I think like there's a saying that goes like, we stand on shoulders of giants. It's like we nobody got here by themselves. We all learned from people. We all had great leaders and mentors, and anybody that does great things had, somebody great before them that taught them. So for me, like, I just hope that those guys that are younger than me continue to do better and even outpace what I've done or what anybody else has done, and just continue to improve.
Yeah, I know a big thing we haven't touched on yet is Scrap Life. That's a brand you guys started. You, David Taylor, a couple other guys. You just recently signed, I think, Keegan O'Toole, Gable Steveson, the big one. So what kind of went to that, and where do you think the trajectory of that's headed?
Yeah, Scrap Life. I was able to sign with Scrap Life straight out of college, so they're the only apparel brand I've ever been with, and I love the brand. I love everybody involved, and I think we have a lot of awesome stuff coming. So for me right now, I'm just excited that they're continuing to support me through MMA and hopefully grow in that sport as well. But we want to really solidify our foundation in wrestling, and one of my main priorities with what I do is I kind of lead the NIL department and signing new guys and getting deals done with these young guys, because there's just so much talent and so many people who have just great reach and influence, and those are the guys that we want to sign, not guys that obviously if you win, that's a big deal, but for us it's more about how you compete and the way that you look to score points on the mat, and if you're exciting and just all around good person that is a leader who people want to follow, who people want to know more about. So obviously Gable, a great example of that, and Keegan, a great example of that too. So I was super pumped. He was my first guy that I was able to negotiate with and sign with Scrap Life. So, hopefully we'll have some of his signature gear coming out soon, and we're looking to expand that NIL program and continue to sign more athletes, more of these young college guys who have a lot of people looking up to them and who really honestly just deserve it. They deserve to be supported by a brand, and that's what we're looking to do. So it's just exciting times with the brand, and luckily there's just a lot of people involved that trust me and want to support what we're doing. And yeah, hopefully we'll continue to sign these young guys and help them out a little bit and help grow the sport.
Yeah, I know I forgot to ask this one, but during your career at Penn State, you've wrestled in some of probably the biggest moments in college wrestling. 2018 national finals, I want to say. You have that huge pin over Miles Martin. Even going back to that duel with Ohio State, you guys edged it out by a point. I think it was you got the late bow and arrow to Major Miles Martin. Anthony Cassar takes out Colin Moore. You even have Nick Neville's putting down 2 takedowns on Kyle Snyder, the best guy in the world, and then you edge him out by a point. Like, what are these kind of like?
Man, those are such fun moments, such cool experiences, and you almost want to just like relive them, but they were just special because of the team that we had, top to bottom, everybody, the type of guys that they are, and just like loving each other, wanting to fight for each other, wanting to fight for our coaches, our fans, everybody who supports us, who loves us. I think that throughout my career, we were we won 4 national titles, and we were undefeated in duels, which, that to me is like the 2 things that I'm most proud of. Not my individual championships, but the fact that we were able to win 4 as a team and not lose a duel for, the entire time that I was in the lineup. So that's something that I'm really proud of. And it just, there were so many special moments, and honestly, like situations where, I didn't know if we were going to pull it out, but we ended up doing it and ended up making it happen, and just being able to be a part of that, very cool, and experiences that like I'll cherish forever. Luckily now we have a lot of like Big Ten Network and people filming it and stuff, so I can like go back and watch it if I ever want to, which is cool, because I'm sure there are matches like that in the past that they just stay there. They never get to be relived. But now once in a while I'll go back and watch Anthony, being Colin Moore, or watch a crazy match, something like that. And it just, it's pretty cool to be able to like relive that a little bit in a sense. And yeah, I miss being on the team, but yeah, it was a fun time.
Yeah, I know.
What was that moment like? I mean, you talk about how close you and Anthony are. So when you see him go out there and beat a guy like Colin Moore caliber guy who is, not a pushover. Colin Moore most likely would have won a national title the COVID year. So what was that like for you going out, being able to see your best friend go out there, beat Colin Moore, and then the next year go out and win a national title? What was going through your mind while all this is happening for, kind of somebody who kind of got the short end of the stick his first 2 years at Penn State?
For sure. With Anthony, it was just such an interesting and long, tough process because it's kind of funny. So the coaches assigned us as roommates from the jump. Like our summer session freshman year, the very first time we stepped onto campus, they were just like, put these two together. And for some reason, like they just got it perfect. And we immediately clicked and we were on the same page with everything. And, after that, I lived with them for almost 7 years. So, until I got married at, like a year and a half ago, we still lived together. But yeah, that's just like my dude, my ride or die. Like at the end of the day, like, I know we got each other. And I think for a long time, it was really just me and him who knew his potential. Even our coaches like didn't really know because he hadn't really competed. But I'd wrestled with him. I'd been with him every single day. And when you're with somebody that much, you just know you start to learn like what they're capable of. And for him, just dealing with injury after injury, surgery after surgery, having to come back from that, it like broke my heart seeing him not be able to compete because I know how hard he worked and how bad he wanted it. And he just did everything right. So, it was like one of those things that when he did go out there and win, it was like, I knew he was going to, but to see him do it felt so good just because he hadn't had that chance before. Not being able to wrestle his first few years, just like literally, not even getting matches because he's dealing with injury. And then to see him come back, beat the number one guy in the country in Colin Moore in the sickest environment ever, sold out rec hall, and probably the biggest wrestling duel in the history of the sport. Like such an awesome thing. And then, to continue that next year and beat, who arguably one of the best NCAA wrestlers of all time in Gable Stevenson, to be able to beat him twice back to back in the Big Tens and the Nationals and win. Just like he just more than anybody, he deserved it. And he had his shot, his one chance, and he freaking absolutely killed it. So I'm so proud of that dude. Always going to be proud of him. And, he's got bigger and better things on the horizon too. So, he's going to transition to MMA, same as me, and he'll hopefully have his first fight by the end of the year. And yeah, just, that's my brother. And I was always love to see him succeed because he deserves it.
What was this environment kind of like because I know when he beat Gable Stevenson, they kind of just like broke the internet. Like everyone's like, this dude's going to be 4-time national champ. He's going to make the world team right out of college, knock off Wisdowski. Those losses to Cassar may have like thrown him off a little bit, going into the Gwiz matches. But you see where Gable Stevenson's developed now. It's like looking back on that, it feels kind of surreal that a guy who was like a backup 97 pounder knocked off possibly one of the greatest wrestlers to ever come through this sport.
Yeah. It's such a weird thing because again, still like people don't really see how good Anthony is. Like they know he beat Gable, they know he won the nationals and stuff, but they didn't get to see enough of him. Like he just had a tough go at it with injuries and stuff like that. So, he's a guy who easily could have been multiple time national champion and won tons and tons of matches. But, his opportunity was just smaller. It was just limited relative to most other people. He had one shot and he made the most of it and won. And so, ton of respect to Gable. He's obviously a beast. But, just the fact that I think Anthony still is incredibly underrated for, how good he was. And people say like, oh, if Cassar, and him would match up again, it'd be different. But we'll never know. When at the end of the day, we won't know, and for me, I know a lot of things that go on in the wrestling room, matchups with Anthony and big name guys who, I'm not trying to name drop or anything, but the matches went very well for Anthony, never in from what I've seen, behind the scenes, his potential, like it's definitely, I think people write him off quick, but I know where he was at relative to not only Gable, but everybody in the rest of the competition, in the world. And for me and him, we know that he just never really got to prove it, dealing with injury and stuff like that. But, now it's on to bigger and better things. He's going to be moving on to MMA, and he'll be UFC champ here shortly, same as me. So we'll get to have another adventure together.
What kind of
I mean,
caused you to pick the MMA path, coming out of college? Was that something you always wanted to do, or something that just kind of came up? You're like, let's roll with it.
No, I've always been really interested in MMA. I've watched the sport and been a fan of the sport from a young age. Those were just time spent with my family, Saturdays, going to Buffalo Wild Wings, watching the fights. It was a good time, fun time. So I always kind of thought that could be a path for me, and that was an option. And honestly, like, I grew up fighting, not like fighting like in an angry way, or like, but more just like for fun. Like me and kids would just fight like that. I just love to do it. When I was probably sixth, seventh grade, wrestling in local tournaments, we would it was like a little bit of a rougher area where some of these local tournaments were, and you'd have your wrestling matches, and then in between rounds you would meet kids in like the back hallways of a school, like a high school or whatever, and you would just fight. Like, that's just what you did, like, so I would go wrestle kids, and then in between my match I would run back to this hallway and we would bare knuckle fight. And this is when we were like 12, 13 years old. So I kind of just grew up fighting. Like, that's always been in me, and I just love it. And again, it wasn't like an anger thing. Like, it was like, this is fun. Like, let's freaking scrap. Let's see who's tough. And so that's just kind of has always been in me. And I think probably when I first started college, I thought I was going to compete in wrestling for a lot longer. And then the more I thought about it, the more I just knew I had to pursue MMA. And I just felt really passionate about it, really drawn to it. And I had done like not real formal jujitsu training, but like sometimes I'd travel, do a clinic at a club, and they'd be like, hey, we're having jujitsu practice. Like, do you want to come in? And I'd be like, fine, let's go. And I would just go roll with these dudes, random dudes, like, and they would just go live on me and rotate in on me, like 10 guys. And I just loved it. I was like, this is so fun, just like trying to, and I didn't know anything. They would just literally be like live, like those dudes trying to choke me out and me trying to figure out ways to tap them out. And I didn't know anything. And so that's kind of how it started, honestly. And then from there, I was like, all right, I need to like figure this out. And went down to American Top Team in Florida, trained a little bit down there with Masvidal and Mike Brown, some other guys. And I was like, I love this. This is what I need to do. This is what I'm built for. So that was kind of how the transition went. And, for me, it's not that I don't feel passionate about wrestling anymore. I still feel passionate. I still love it. I love the sport. I love all that it's done for me, but I'm just more drawn to MMA as a person and in a competitive sense.
Yeah. How are we feeling about Oliveira missing weight?
It doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's done stuff like that before. I feel like it gives him an advantage. Like, if you see historically how people do who miss weight, they win a lot. I want to say it's like 80% of the time, something like that. Like, these guys that miss weight, it's an advantage. So, might throw some late money on him. I think I want Gaethje to win. He's a wrestler, he's American, and I hope he does. But it's like, I don't know. I don't really like that. I would never miss weight. I've never missed weight in my entire life, and I never will. So for me, like, that's not an option. And to see a guy at the highest level of the sport in MMA do that, it's a little disheartening, but it is what it is, man. It's a freaking fight, and may the best man win tomorrow.
I know that's something you talked about in your collegiate career, making the bump up from 174, 184 to 197. You said you weren't really cutting weight because you just kind of didn't feel like it. People were like, this is probably going to impact you a lot, once you get to the senior level. You kind of just walk through everyone, until, you had solid matches with Jaden Coxer, and that's, two-time world champ coming into that. Like, what really went into the thought of like not cutting weight and just kind of just like chilling there? Were you just like feeling you were better than everyone, or just not really feel a benefit from it?
I think that, I don't know that it was more just a thing where I felt I would rather focus on getting better at my sport than cutting weight. I think a lot of people get obsessed with cutting weight. Like, oh, I got to be the biggest guy at the weight. And for me, I just want to be the best guy. So it's not even necessarily that I'm like, oh, I'm better than these guys, I can just go whatever weight I want. It was more like, I just want to focus on getting as good at my sport as I can be. And for me, that meant not focusing on cutting weight, like not worrying about it. And so all the way through college, that was my mindset. I'm like, I want to be the best guy, and I got to train every day to do that. I can't worry about cutting weight. So, moving from 74 to 84, I was like, this is a much more competitive weight class. I had to wrestle much better guys at that weight. So I wanted to do that. And then it was even a new challenge at 97, bumping up there was a big challenge because, you're again, wrestling new guys, get to wrestle different competition, get to wrestle bigger guys that present new challenges. And so I just love that. I love the challenge of wrestling new guys. And if I had to wrestle 174, first off, I grew. So, I got bigger. I wasn't a small 84 or I didn't feel like a small 97. I probably was on the scale, but I didn't really want to wrestle the same guys for 4 years straight. Like that gets kind of boring. For me, I wanted new challenges and to wrestle bigger and better guys. And that was fun for me. And I think that going 92, it hurt me a little bit that year. Obviously, like Pat Downey making the team at 86, I was just like, yeah, this dude's on the world team, bro. Like, what is this? Like, what is going on? This is absolutely insane. But I think the main thing was that, yeah, I was undersized, like to be 100% honest at 92. I had most of the year for that year, my senior year, been weighing about 200 to 202. And the week before the week between the Big Tens and the NCAAs, I got the flu really bad. And I got sick. I lost like 12 pounds. I got down to about 190. And so for the NCAA tournament, the only person that really knows this is Kassar, because he was with me, my roommate for the tournament. But at the NCAA tournament, every single morning, I woke up before weigh-ins, ate a big omelet, meat lovers omelet with cheese, and drank a glass of orange juice and had some home fries every morning because I weighed in the first day at 193, the second day at like 194 or something like that, and then again the third day like 194. So that was just what I was weighing because I couldn't get my weight back up that quickly. And then it was tough because I went straight from that tournament to US Open, and then from US Open to World Team Trials straight to Final X. And there wasn't really time for me to like chill out and get my weight back up. I just had to keep training through it. So I think I weighed in at Final X like 192. And you can't do that like when you're wrestling a two-time world champ, best guy in the world. Like, I'm not just giving up 10 pounds. I'm giving up like 25 because, he's coming down from 215, 220, and I'm literally soaking wet at 192. So I think it made a big difference for me. Obviously Jaden's a great competitor, but yeah, I was giving up a lot of weight and that made it tough.
Yeah. Would you be looking forward to a rematch anytime soon? If you were handed the opportunity?
Not really. I don't really feel like I have anything to prove. Obviously, yeah, like he beat me and he was the better wrestler that day. And I feel like there was a lot that I could do better, but it doesn't really bother me. I don't really look back and regret that. If anything, I would have gone 86 and wrestled Pat Downey and probably teched him in the first period. But,
Whoa.
We already know how it works. I wrestled him twice, both techs. So we all know how that would go. But yeah, I don't have any like bad feelings toward Jaden of like wanting to beat him or anything like that. He's a tough wrestler and he's all respect to him. So he's more, he's worrying about different things than me right now. I'm worried about being a world champ in MMA, and he's worried about being a world Olympic gold medalist in wrestling. So yeah, water under the bridge, on to the next.
There.
Yeah, so you kind of touched there about you moving up in weights, but talk about your roommate gaining 40 pounds of what seemed to be straight muscle. Yeah. Probably one of the most ripped heavyweights we've seen in this generation. So what you were living with him at that time, so what was he really eating? Like, was he just eating anything he saw? He was just putting it down?
That dude's a sicko, I'll tell you that much. Like, what he had to do to get his weight up. First off, he's just a big guy naturally. He's 6'3". He's probably a natural 220, 225, but adding that muscle onto his frame was insane. would wake up pretty much every morning. Like I said, I've never seen somebody as disciplined as Anthony, honestly, 100%. Nobody's really that I've seen has taken it to that level, because he cut a lot of weight to 90, getting down to 97, like I said, naturally weighing about 220. And to get up to 240 was just as hard for him. So, waking up every morning, eating like 8 eggs, eating like 2 full potatoes, like 4 or 5 chicken breasts every day, me and him getting second dinners. Cause it was actually nice because I was going up to 97. So I was pretty much like, all right, dude, I'm just tagging along with you. Whatever you do, I'm going to try to do too. And, he was probably honestly eating 6,000 calories a day, like just crazy stuff, and working out in the weight, putting absolute hours, just tons of hours and hours into the weight room. And, the results showed themselves. So, luckily we're fortunate. We're able to work with the training lab with Coach Sam Calavita. And he's, in my opinion, the number one strength conditioning coach and nutritionist on the planet. I feel like, for combat sports, there's nobody that knows more than him. And so we lean on him heavily, not only through that process, but continue to. And so, we're fortunate to have great guidance from him. Big shout out to the training lab. But Anthony, just a monster, eating stupid amount.
He did indeed. At one of the camps, I want to say I was a sophomore in high school, and I got the opportunity to wrestle Anthony. And he pinned me in 8 seconds and then repeated to stand up over me, laying on the ground, and flex on me. So
sounds right.
Yeah, that was my Anthony Cassar experience. But we'll hop in. We're gonna hop into some questions here. Kind of get to know you a little bit on a more personal level. We try to keep them non-wrestling related, but his always end up being wrestling related. So I'm gonna let him go first.
All right. Yeah. Your top 3 favorite collegiate wrestlers of all time. None of them can be from Penn State or associated with Penn State.
Oh, that's tough. Bryce Meredith, number 1. That's my homie. We've been best friends since we were about 5 years old. Grew up training together, so he's probably my number 1. Dude who I watched growing up, who I absolutely love, still talk to this day. Great guy, Jordan Lean, national champ for Cornell. Always light fireworks, fun to watch, just exciting guy. Literally one of the nicest humans I've ever met. And 3, let me think. That's tough. Who was fun to watch? Who I maybe like watching nowadays is I like what's the kid's name? The Virginia Tech kid, 141. Andonian.
Yeah,
he's dope. He's sick. I like watching Andonian. He sends it. So, I think pretty much any guy that just goes for it, that's a guy that I root for. And I think he does a good job of that.
Yep. No, he just left. I'll start off with his questions. The first one's normally, you went to Allen High School, which is kind of like the biggest thing in the country. So you go there and you go Penn State. What's the go-to meal at each of those places?
Oof. Okay, so I would say at Allen High School, I think you can go 2 different ways with this. I would say if I were to take somebody to Allen and want them to like experience some food, I would take them to a barbecue place. I'd probably take them to like Hard 8, which is a dope barbecue place in the area. And, they make any type of barbecue you want: pulled pork, brisket, ribs, steaks, everything. So that's where I would take somebody. But one of my go-to spots that we do have about 5 minutes from my house in Allen was In-N-Out Burger. And I absolutely love In-N-Out Burger. So like, if I'm trying to like get a fast food treat, then that's where I would go. And for Penn State, I would say my favorite place is a restaurant called Happy Valley Brewing Company. It's got awesome food just in general. They got pretty much everything you could want there. They got a really good fish and chips that I like. There's good. And then where I was the first place I was taken in State College to eat was Waffle Shop, and they're just like the coolest, classiest breakfast spot. Got omelets, obviously waffles, pancakes, anything you could want. They do this. They do a really good cinnamon roll. So there's a few options there, but those are probably my go-tos.
All right, I got one quick one, and then we'll end with our question we asked everybody. I know you're a big meat eater. You're a big steak guy. what is the best cut of steak that you have ever had in your entire life?
I've eaten a lot of good steaks. So the best cut of meat that I've ever had, I got there's a company in Miami. They're called Lamellos, and my management team, they work with them a lot. They partner up with them, sponsor fighters, and give them meats and stuff. And they do I want to say it's like a 48-ounce Wagyu tomahawk. It's stupid. It's like ridiculous. And so they sent me one up. I grilled it myself. And I went all out. I went like Salt Bay status with it. And I got this gold foil and put like 24 karat gold over it and like truffles and stuff and like just went all in. So that's probably my favorite steak that I've ever had. And, grilled that myself on the Traeger reverse sear. And yeah, it was insane. I made a YouTube video on it actually, if you want to go watch. It's on my YouTube channel. I've only made 2 videos ever, and that was one of them.
That's awesome. And then final question, we asked this to everybody. I think your response is probably going to be one of the better ones we've heard. So you could take anybody from your Penn State Nittany Lion team, all 4 years you were there, whoever was there while you were there, 4 of those guys into the zombie apocalypse with you. Who would they be and why?
Oh, I love this. Am I limited to teammates or can I pick coaches too?
Teammates only. Only the guys who are on the active roster while you were there.
Okay, well, number 1, Zane Rutherford. That's my dude. Farm boy, knows how to farm, knows how to hunt, fish, everything. So that dude I'm taking for sure. Let me think, who else? It's probably going to surprise you, but you might not actually know this guy, but if you guys are big fans, you probably do. But Creighton Edsel, he was our starter at 165 for most of the year this past year, and he's kind of the same thing. His family raises cattle, grew up on a farm. He hunts archery, so I know he's pretty sick with a bow. He can get down, and for me, I feel like those 2 dudes would be a great combo. Let me think, who else? Who would be like trustworthy, easy to get on with? Probably Nolf. I feel like Nolf is just a survivor. Like he's the type of dude, he would just do whatever he had to do to survive. And he's also like just ride or die loyal. Like that's my guy. So, he, to me, like whatever we needed to do to survive, like he would just make it happen. Like at the end of the day, that guy will get it done. And lastly, this one might hurt me a little bit. I'm gonna have to do it, but I'm gonna have to go with Kassar last because, and the reason I say it's gonna hurt me, 1, he's massive, so he's gonna need a lot of food, and he's a big target, so he's a big guy, and so he might get spotted or, be eating like half of what we have. But I think that in a any type of physical altercation scenario, that's my number 1 dude. Like, I think tag team, you put us against anybody in the world. Like we're big dudes. I'm 6'1", he's 6'3". Like we'll do some damage. We'll take some people out. And yeah, that's my guy. So those 4, probably Zane, Nolf, Creighton, and Anthony. So that's a squad. I feel like that's pretty formidable. I don't think anybody wants to go up against us.
I would say that's good. That's probably
that's top 3.
That's top 3. Yeah.
Number 4, you have to say, I think.
Yeah, I'd say 4. I'd put you at number 4 all time.
Okay. Who do you guys have? Who are you guys have?
Hendrickson, number 1.
Yeah. Hendrickson's team is number 1. They were all trained U.S. Air Force members.
Oh, well, yeah. They got a little advantage there. That's for sure.
Kenny Monday.
Deshaun Garrett.
And then Deshaun Garrett, and then you.
Nice. I love it. Good stuff.
So,
I like that question.
Yeah,
so thank you for making my childhood dreams come true. It was a great time. We need to. I think what needs to come next. We need to reach out to Ant the Champ. We need to get Ant the Champ on.
I'll set it up.
Let me know. We've tried to reach out. He's beat around the bush with a no response, but
I got you. I'll let him know.
He is one of the better heavyweights. So Heavyweight Nation needs to have an Anthony Kassar podcast. I think it needs to happen. But we wish you the best with your upcoming fight. We'll make sure we post about it. Hopefully you get a win. like you have in the, the last couple you had, you did really well. So yeah, just good luck and thank you for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate y'all's time. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. So this has
All right.
been episode
Yeah.
122 of Late Night Shots. See you guys again next time.